Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jax-Miller. So in today's program, we have a special report on customer service. Many of you may have seen complaints about the restaurant Jojo's. 2 patrons said they had a bad experience. We're going to be talking about that and taking a wider look at that issue of customer service in Jamaica. First, so last night, a tsunami scare. What happened, what didn't happen, and what are the lessons that we learned? Well, I'm joined now in studio by Dr. Barbara Kirby, who heads the Disaster Risk Reduction Center at the UWI Mona. Thank you so much for talking to us. Always a pleasure, Dr. Kirby.
My pleasure, Dion.
So at which point did you hear there was a tsunami scare, tsunami alert, tsunami whatever?
This morning.
Really?
Oh, yes. I missed the entire excitement last night.
And one would have thought you would have been one of those people who would have been up in terms of disaster, what to do, what not to do, and so on. What does that tell you, though, the fact that you didn't know?
Well, I did not need to know. Now, remember that tsunamis are really coastal phenomena. So it would be more important that persons along the coastline were warned than that I was warned, because I am well inland. Having said that, I'm not sure how ODPEM would differentiate its warning mechanism, whether they would do a global blast or they would try to target certain communities and so on. So it all depends on how their warning mechanism is set up.
Okay, so what, though, did last night teach us, or what should last night have taught us?
Well, I think it's important that we continue our public awareness efforts, because it would seem that persons were not sure what exactly the threat was, and if there was a real threat, what should they do? So it would seem to me that we need to step up the public awareness efforts in terms of what does one do in case of a tsunami. And that is to say, you may get an official warning or you may not. It all depends on the location of the earthquake, if it's triggered by an earthquake, and the time you have to actually do the warning. So part of that public awareness is making people aware of what the signs, the natural signs are for a tsunami, and then what you do in that circumstance.
Right. We did, my colleague Earl Moxham did speak to Dr. Davis earlier today, Major Clive Davis of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management. Let's just watch a little bit of that interview, and then I'll ask you for comment if we could.
Okay.
The national response agencies were contacted, the Fire Brigade, the military, the Jamaica Constabulary, all of them advised. All the municipal corporations were advised also.
The national works agency as well?
Yes, right. And then right after that, we also then started to share information with the public. Note for me though that at that stage we had only received information of a possible threat. So we had not moved into anything such as a warning or a watch or anything of that nature. Once we did that, the next thing for us then was to start to monitor the situation with the Pacific Warning Center, because they would have had systems out there watching the waves, watching the water, and then be able to give us more credible information if this thing is going to materialize.
So yes. Up to this point, you had not made contact with the major telecoms providers in Jamaica to say send out mass text messages to their clientele?
No, in fact, no. We're not gone to we're not gone to them at that stage. What we did was from the ODPEM, we then relied on just about all the media that was available readily to us. So we went to Facebook, we went Twitter, we went WhatsApp, we went all of those kind of means. We went our website, and then we also got a chance to do some work with some mainstream media houses. Right. There is an arrangement that we have in place with one telecom provider at this point in time. It was not triggered last evening.
What would have triggered it?
It would have been triggered by our focal point. Okay, the focal point for tsunami in Jamaica is actually the Meteorological Service. We are the coordinating body for all hazards. And so based on the protocol that they have established with that provider, they would have triggered that.
At the point that you were alerted, were you of the impression that it had the potential to get to the point where it would have required mass evacuation?
It is very possible, right. And so based on the magnitude of the quake, yes, tsunami has not always been at the top of our agenda. But then it is not just tsunami, no, we're moving. We have terrorism to deal with. How do we move the mass in a very short space of time with an alert system that works?
Well, let me ask Dr. Carver that question. How do you move masses of people through an alert system, and that differentiation between information as opposed to warning, keeping people in the loop without getting them panicked?
Right. So for the latter part of it, keeping people in the loop without getting them panicked, that's a function of constant awareness building and constant education, so that they understand the difference between a notification, an alert, a warning, or whatever the terminology is. It must be clear in the public's mind what each terminology means. And if we use the example of hurricanes, we know practically every Jamaican now knows what a hurricane watch is, what a bulletin is, what a watch is, what a warning is, and that has come through constant repetition. So that is very important. It must be clear in the public's mind what the terms mean and what activity on their part is associated with the use of each term. So that's one aspect of it. Now, what was the first question?
In terms of moving people now, say there is an imminent threat.
Right.
What do you do? How do you approach that?
So for tsunamis, generally, the time is very short.
Yes.
So you would not be talking about putting people into vehicles and moving them.
Okay.
So you're talking about persons really getting height and distance from the coastline. So you move inland and you try to gain height, however possible that might be. And depending on where you are, I remember when I was in Cayman, people used to laugh at me and say, what height?
Where are you going to go to?
Exactly. What height are you going to gain in Georgetown? But that height could actually be a tall building. It could be a multi-story building. So it's very important that you know that you must get height and distance inland as much as you can. Mm-hmm. And I go back to the point I was making earlier, that warning systems are good, but sometimes the time for a tsunami doesn't permit that. So we're talking about realizing that if you're by the sea, you feel a strong earthquake, just move inland. Do not wait for a warning. If you're by the sea and you see the sea withdraw from the coastline, do not stop to gawk and wonder why this is happening. Head inland and get height.
Okay, so it's constant awareness.
Constant awareness.
Information.
Information, and telling the public what they can do and recognizing the signs.
All right, going to leave it there, Dr. Carver.
Okay.
We appreciate it as always so very much. Thank you so much.
My
and
pleasure.
stay tuned when we come back. A little more insight into what was going on last night. Stay with us. Mm-hmm.